Also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 1 English lesson on contractions. So we'll be doing our grade 1 English lesson on contractions. And before we start with our lesson, we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged into aplusstudents.ca, you're going to log in with your username as well as your password. Then select Language Arts, Grade 1, and then you're going to scroll down up until you get to the chapter of contractions. So our chapter for today is contractions. So we see that our chapter is contractions. Our subject is English Language Arts, Grade 1, and the lessons that we are focusing on today under the chapter of contractions is to form pronoun verb contractions, to form contractions with not, and to complete the sentence with the correct contractions. So that is going to be our chapter as well as our lessons for today. And we are doing our tutorial lessons on A plus students.ca. So that is where we are doing our tutorial lesson on A plus students.ca. All right, so contraction. A contraction, it is a short form of two words, right? And these words are put together, but some words are left out. So the words that we basically leave out, we put an apostrophe to show where the letters have been left out. So contraction, it's a short form of two words. So we have our two different words. So we're then going to put it together, right? Almost like to make one word. And there's going to be either one or more words that we're going to leave out or letters that we're going to leave out. And whatever we leave out, an apostrophe will then show, we put an apostrophe which will show where the letters have been left out. So, so we see the contraction is a short form of two words. And the words that we basically put together, right, even some letters that are even put together, there's either one or two letters that we leave out, right? And those letters that we leave out, we then put an apostrophe in its place to show where those letters were left out. And if we look specifically at the words here on the right hand side, it says I am, right? So if you, for example, write something like, or you talk and you're like, I am 10 years old, for example. So instead of saying the full, so instead of saying I am 10 years old, you can basically say I'm 10 years old. Or instead of saying I am going to the park, you can say I'm going to the park. Um, for example, you will, right? So instead of saying you will play outside, you can say you'll play outside. Instead of saying you will get cake, you'll get cake, right? So it's basically two words, as you can see. It's like two words, right? Or it's two short words that we are now basically going to turn into one word, as you can see, I'm. So for example, I am, right? We said it's two words. And if we write down our two words, then we have, for example, I and am. That is our two words. But as soon as we put those words together, right, then the first word, it stays the same, which is, for example, either I or you or whatever word it's going to be over there. So I stays the same. Now we're going to remove the A, and I basically put down the M. And whatever I am leaving out, we put an apostrophe in its place. The same with you will, right? Remember I said that the first word stays the same. So if we have you will, then the first word, this word, it stays the same, which is you. So now we're going to leave out the W, and we're going to leave out the I, and we're going to put double L, and we put an apostrophe in the place where we left out, for example, words. So now it is Yule. So as you can see, from two words to basically one word, Yule. All right. So with contractions, right? There we have I am, which is I'm. We have you, which is you will. Then we even have, for example, she's, which is she is, right? So she is. So instead of saying she is going to bed, she is writing a letter, we can say she's writing a letter. So we bring down the word she, we remove the I, we bring down the S, and we put the apostrophe in the place of the I. So now it's, for example, she's. And we do the same with his. So we even said that, so as much as it's she is, we can even say he is, or he's. We can say they are, which is there, we are, which is we're, right? So there's quite a few contractions that we can basically, let's say, or words that is a short form of two words, right? That can be basically made based on the examples that is being shown. So now we said our tutorial lesson is on a+students.ca. So let's go to a+students.ca. All right, so we're going into our first lesson, which is to form pronoun verb contractions. So we say the contraction is a short form of two words, right? And the two words are then basically put together, and then some letters are left out. So it's either one letter or any other letters that are left out, right? Whatever letters we leave out, we then put an apostrophe in its place. So the apostrophe that we put in there, it shows where the lessons were left out. If you leave out two letters, you don't add two apostrophes, right? Because we only add one apostrophe. Because that is basically a rule. And we made an example of I am and you will. All right. So now if we look at this activity, it says fill in the contraction that matches the words. I am. If we look at the word I am, what is the contraction of I am? This is now basically two words or a shorter form of two words that we basically put together to make one word. So I am. So how would we write I am if we were to shorten it in the form of a contraction? All right, so over here, it says fill in the contraction that matches the word. So I am, right? So I am is I. So I am is I am, right? But now if we find the contraction of it, and then we say it's capital letter I, remove the A, we put on the M, and we put the apostrophe in the place of where that A was supposed to be. So remember, do not forget the apostrophe. So do not forget to also write the apostrophe. Good, well done. So the apostrophe also needs to be there, especially if you separate the two words, which is it's and its. Like with it's and its, you have one word with an apostrophe and the other that needs to be written without an apostrophe. All right. It is. If we look at that word is, how do you think we can write that in a form of a contraction? It is. So it is, right? Remember we see that the first word, it stays the same. So the first word stays the same, which is it. So now what it is, let me first both words, it is equals to, we said it stays the same, this one stays the same. So it is, so basically is will be where we are going to remove a certain word. So we have it is, so we have it's it is, and then we just say with the second word is, we remove the I, and then we add the S, and we're getting the apostrophe in place of that letter that was removed. So now our contraction is it's, which is another word for it is. All right. She will. She will. If we look specifically at that contraction, she will. If we write that in a form of a contraction, then we have, okay, we have she and will, but then we will have she, which is here. Remember, we said that we are moving certain words or letters. So we remove the W, we remove the I, and we put the double L. So there we have shall, right? So it is she, W and I was removed with the apostrophe in its place, and then added the double L. So that's she'll. She'll play cricket tomorrow. She'll play soccer tomorrow. Instead of constantly saying she will go to the park, she will go to school. And not forgetting the apostrophe that we basically need to add there after she. All right, so now we're going to our test on contractions and how to form pronoun verb contractions. So we need to fill in the contractions that matches the word. So it will. It will. If we match the contraction, is it it'll, which is the first word, or it will, which is the second word? So we said it is fill in the contraction that matches the word it will. And it will, if we choose between these two, so then we can say it will be the first one. So we said the first word stays the same, which is it. And then will changes because we remove the W and I, and we add apostrophe, and your double L is over there. It'll, something it'll. So yes, well done. Even with the apostrophe. Remember, we always need to add the apostrophe and well done. So we need to fill in the contraction that matches the words. They are. They are. Remember, we said that the first word stays the same. They are. We need to write down the contraction of they are. Is it the first one, which is there, or basically they are? I remember we said that, or I said that, a contraction, right, is two words, and we need to basically form one word by also adding our apostrophe of the word that is being left out, or the letters that's being left out. All right, so yes, the first one is correct. And remember, we said that the first word stays the same, which is they. And then with R, we only remove the A with the apostrophe and then R-E. So they are is in there. And that is correct. So yes, the first option is correct. So we need to fill in the contraction that matches the words they will. They will. Is it the first one, which is they'll, or the second option that is they will? They'll or they will. We need to fill in that contraction that matches the words. Remember, the first word stays the same. The second word, which is will, we remove the W and the I. We add the double L to our word they, and we add the apostrophe. So now if we add that words together, it is they'll. So well done. They'll is correct. Well done. He will. He will. Is it the first option, which is he will, or the second option, which is he'll? He will. Is it he will or he'll? Where the first word stays the same, which is he. And in will, we remove the W and I, add our apostrophe, and our double L. All right, so it is he'll. And that is correct. So that is basically to form pronoun verb contractions, all right? So now we need to form contractions with not. So we're going to form contractions with not. And we see a contraction is a short form of two words. So it's a short form of two words. And the words are then put together and some of the letters are left out. And whatever letters leave out, we add an apostrophe to show where the letters are left out. And like I said, if we leave out one letter or two letters, it doesn't mean that we must either add one apostrophe or two apostrophes. In all games, sorry, not all games, in all, let's say the writings of contractions, we only add one, let's say, apostrophe, or we add the apostrophe once in that word. You don't remove two words and put two apostrophes. And yeah, words like heal, dozen, well done, that is basically correct. So you can also make contractions with the word not. Then when we make words or the contraction with the word not, we then just drop the O and we put the apostrophe in its place. For example, like is not. So is not. Is, it stays the same, right? Then with not, we're going to add not, N. We remove the O. Once we remove the O, we put the apostrophe and T. So is not now become isn't. So is not now becomes isn't. Then we have has not. Has not. And with has not, we have has and we have not. I remember we said that the first word, it stays the same. And then with the second word, we add the N, we remove the O, put the apostrophe, and then we have the T. So now has not becomes the word hasn't. So hasn't and isn't is our contractions. And we made that contractions with the word not. And yeah, even doesn't, right? Doesn't is basically does and not, right? So doesn't is done and not. Remember we said that the first word, it comes down, we leave does, which is the, and then not, we put down the N for not, we remove the O, we put the apostrophe, and we add the T. Doesn't, which also means does not. There we have hasn't, which also means has not. We have isn't, which means is not. So that is basically the contractions with not, right? Where we said that if we just add that word not, let's say like does not, then we see that the first word stays the same, and then thereafter with not, we add not to that specific word, but remove the O and then we put the apostrophe in its place. Does not. Then also we have the contraction which is can't. So the contraction which is can't is a bit special. So our can't, and it is short for cannot. Short is it's, or let's say can't is short for cannot. So can't is short for cannot. So cannot is can't. Then we have will not. Will not. Do we say it's going to be won't? So will not. And remember we said that the word stays the same. So with will not, right? It's as if the contraction changes. And that's why we also say that the will not is also a contraction that is special. So will not is won't, right? And the contraction won't is very special and it is shorter for will not. All right. All right. So now let's go to our test because we basically went over the ones already. These are contractions with not. Contractions with not. So was not. If we look at the word was not, right? We said was stays the same. And then we add not to it, right? Where we're going to remove the O and just add an apostrophe to it. So was not. So what is the contraction? Is it wasn't or was not? Option 1 or option 2? Was not. Is it wasn't or was not? All right, so if we fill in the contraction that matches the word, and then we'll basically say it is wasn't, right? So was not means wasn't, and wasn't is correct. Fill in the contraction that matches the word do not. Is it don't or is it do not? Yes, wasn't is correct. So do not. Is it don't or does it say the same, just do not? All right, so if we fill in the correct contraction, and yes, it will be don't. Don't. Well done. Don't is correct. Cannot. Remember we said cannot is special. We said this word is special. So we need to fill in the correct contraction that matches the word. Is it cannot matches cannot or can't matches cannot? All right, so if we fill in the contraction, right, and then our word is can't. So the word can't is basically the contraction of can not. Because remember, we said that word is special. So can't is correct. Has not. The last one has not. Isn't is it has not, which is one word, or is it hasn't? So has not. Is it has not, or is it hasn't? All right, so if we add our or fill in the correct contraction, then yes, we can say hasn't, which is the second option. And hasn't is correct. So well done. Hasn't is correct. Now we're going on to the last lesson, which is to complete the sentence with the correct contractions. So we need to complete the sentence with the correct contractions. And a contraction is a short form of two words, right, which I mentioned. And the words are then put together and are left out. Those words or that word that is left out, right? We're going to add an apostrophe to show where the letters are left out. So once again, a contraction is a short form of two words, and the words are put together and some letters are left out. And remember the words that is left out with apostrophe to that. And there we have examples, which is not, he's not, or he is, and that is isn't and he's. So the contraction can't. Can't is a short for so there we have our examples. If we look at the second example, right? The contraction can't is special because it is short for can. And to make the contraction, drop the letters N and O and put an apostrophe in their place. So we then remove the N and O. We put the apostrophe, add the T to that specific, and then we are then able to make a contraction using can't. All right, now let's go to our test. So we need to complete the sentence with the base contraction. So the open day. We need to complete the sentence with the base contraction. Is it wasn't open day? Seaton, so for example, she, he'll, or aren't. We need to complete the sentence with the base contraction. The zoo open today, which means that it is, it's not. All right. So we then said the zoo till today. So operational time, for example, is until what time? But for now, the zoo isn't open today or wasn't open or aren't open today. Let's just say wasn't. So we can say the zoo wasn't open today. Almost like to say was not open today. A baby girl. Do we say I'll a baby girl, it's a baby girl, they'll a baby girl, or didn't a baby girl? All right, so we can then just say it's a baby girl. It's. So it's or it is a baby girl. All right. So that is basically our lesson on contraction. We said that our lesson on contractions, it's basically two words, right? That we add together to make one word. And whatever words or letters that we leave out, we add an apostrophe to that word. So we call that contractions. So now we have reached the end of our lesson on contractions. Thank you for joining. Thank you for answering. And I really hope you're going to have a great day further. Goodbye.